Welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology forecast for February 17th through the 23rd. And this week is about directing your vitality. We have Mars, the planet of vitality, assertiveness, confidence, stationing direct this week. This means that Mars retrograde will be over this week. We also have Pisces season beginning with the sun moving into Pisces this week. So happy birthday to all of my Pisces people. And we have some other transits that we'll talk about this week. So this week is really about uh, reconnecting with some of the more Mars themes, and also there's a lot that is in flux and in movement this week. And so I think this week there's a strong theme around how you manage and direct and experience your vitality. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a depth psychotherapist and an astrologer, and I am so honored to share the astrology of this week with you from a depth psychological perspective. So let's start with the sun. We're going to go as usual. I usually go in the order of events. So starting at the beginning of the week, Mars will station direct this Sunday. So we're going to talk about Mars at the end, and that will sort of tie us all up as far as the energy of this week. So we have first the sun moving into Pisces on Tuesday, the 18th. And so the sun is our conscious focus, what we're aware of. From month to month, it shows collectively where the focus of our energy, the focus of our consciousness and awareness is. And with the sun being in Pisces, this is a conscious focus on the experiential versus the literal. Pisces is a mutable water sign. Mutable meaning that it is changing, it is transition. There is this as well as that, that multiple things, multiple experiences can exist in one time and in one space. And so when we have the sun in Pisces, there is this conscious focus more on experience and on the intangible versus the literal. There's also themes here around connecting with your ideals, connecting with your imagination, connecting with your creativity, and experiences of bending reality, questioning what is real or true for you. And there is this internal playful wondering experience that can happen when we're talking about Pisces, especially the sun in Pisces. And I will say, I think this feels like a shift, most certainly, all other things considered equal, with the sun moving from Aquarius into Pisces, because the sun has been in a Saturn ruled sign for the last 2 months or so. It was in Capricorn, which is a Saturn ruled sign, and then it was in Aquarius, which is also a Saturn ruled sign. And the sun also encountered Pluto while it was in Aquarius. And so I'm saying this because there is this more stark contrast between Saturn ruled signs, Capricorn and Aquarius, which Saturn tends to be more there's more of a gravity to Saturn. There's more of a serious tone. There's more of an emphasis around the practical things, but also the structural things of our lives and what really matters and what's really important and what are we doing and what is happening. All of these, sort of more, I think, direct and practical and concrete and even in some ways logistical uh, focuses. And then, of course, the sun encountering Pluto in Aquarius, this is a more intense and like really deeply thoughtful experience. So, in contrast to starting this Tuesday for the next month or so, the sun will be in Pisces, which Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Pisces is like I said, a mutable sign, which is much more changeable and flowy, and like it's more about like what's happening now and then what's happening now and then what's happening after that. It's more of this like easeful kind of experience versus Capricorn and Aquarius, which Capricorn is a cardinal sign, which is about initiating, and then Aquarius is a fixed sign, which is about rooting into something and developing something. And so I think there is a lot of room for play and experience and creativity. Of course, whenever we have Pisces, there is a potential for feeling like you're maybe not feeling as sure footed or as grounded or as secure. There can be kind of a feeling of discomfort with that more flowy kind of energy. And so, of course, you know yourself best and you know the ways that may be helpful for you to stay grounded and centered. I think that when we have the sun in Pisces, Pisces is so connected to the unseen experiences, whether that is altered states of consciousness or what you may consider spiritual or religious experiences, anything that we cannot tangibly see, um, is really within the realm of Pisces. And so it can actually be very helpful to use your creativity or spirituality or connection with the unseen in order to root yourself in. So things like doing physical movement practices that feel enjoyable to you, taking in art or film or doing any kind of creative practice, being in nature, of course, and any type of meditative or mindfulness practices, especially those that focus on working with the body or your focus, your concentration, or your breath. So those are some ideas to connect with, especially if for you there tends to be a feeling of uncertainty when there's more of a Pisces influence. So what do I want to say anything else about this? So yeah, I think there's kind of this a lot of potential here for connecting in with states of experience that maybe feel a little different for you. And then also connected into this sun moving into Pisces is this week we have the last quarter moon in Sagittarius. And so whenever we have a quarter moon, it's always the same modality as the sun. And so in this case, we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius is also a mutable sign like Pisces. So it's very much about transition and questioning and change. And in contrast to Pisces, which is a water sign, Sagittarius is a fire sign. So we have water and fire happening. And so this last quarter moon happens on Thursday, the 20th. And last quarter moons tend to be about the beginning phases of letting things go in the next week or so. So there's often a questioning or a challenging or something that needs your attention around how you prioritize your emotional, mental, or physical energy, how you prioritize your finite resources, so to speak. And so, because this is Sagittarius and Pisces, there's a lot of themes around ideals and belief systems and experiences and what you believe or know to be true, what your experiences are. And so this could be releasing ideals or beliefs that no longer suit you or no longer make sense for you at this period in time. Those beliefs served you for a period of time, and now there might be possibly a contemplation, like a restructuring. It could be more broad and something very important to you. It could also be something very subtle. And this could also look like finding your path forward by I wrote this word reprioritizing. That's kind of a weird word to say. So, like redoing your prioritization process, like how you allot your time and energy, that you might find a pathway forward through retooling things in that way. Or maybe letting go while also redirecting your focus. I think also when I was thinking about Sagittarius and Pisces, I was really feeling into this phenomenon around um, overwhelm or um, anxiety or stress or clutter. And clutter could be in the physical sense, but also just like mental clutter, like mental space. And this feeling that a lot of times this can happen with mutable signs because it's about mutable signs are sort of about collecting everything and holding space for multitudes of possibilities and multitudes of experiences and things. And sometimes that can feel like it's too much, or there's like a sorting process sometimes that is needed. Um, and so there could be maybe a sorting process that is being called for if it feels like there's a lot of um, clutter. And I think we don't always realize that that is what it is, because we get so desensitized to certain things. And so um, if you're feeling overwhelmed this week, I think it can be really helpful to look at how you can sort or release or um, simply find a place to um, to offload some of the things that you're holding and carrying, whether that is literally in your physical space, cleaning out or organizing something, or like putting things in a box or a junk drawer, or um, releasing via journaling or talking to someone or talking into a voice memo, writing a list of things, anything like that to kind of like get some of the energy moving, is really conducive this week to the last quarter moon because it is this tone of releasing and letting go over the next couple of weeks. Okay. So, also, what's happening this week is we have Mercury making two different aspects. It's aspecting Jupiter and it's aspecting Mars. So, Mercury is also in Pisces. So, Mercury is really connecting into this Pisces mutable theme. Mercury is a symbol of our mind, our communication, our logical, analytical thought process, as well as um, any way um, that we carry information or decode things, or um, in the more practical sense, Mercury is business dealings, but it's also a symbol of divination and how we intuit as well. So, Mercury in Pisces is making a square, a tense aspect with Jupiter in Gemini. And so there's a lot to this transit. So we're going to kind of like go a little bit at a time here. So this is really about zooming in and zooming out. Mercury is about zooming in. It's about like looking at the details and then going to the next details and then going to the next details, kind of like this, like a butterfly or a bumblebee hopping from flower to flower. And Jupiter is about zooming out. It's about looking at the entire rose bush and appreciating all of the beauty via the entire thing, the big picture. And so there's this contemplating life or situations from the micro to the macro. There's like really feeling into the experience of the forest as a whole, as well as the trees as individuals. And I think that this may look like considering many different options, having a lot of ideas. I think, again, this theme around like, okay, what are you focusing on? Because it can, I think with Mercury square Jupiter, it can feel like there's a lot to think about, there's a lot to focus on, there's a lot of ideas and inspirations, and it may simply feel like there's a lot on your mind. Um, what I also want to say about this that I think is really interesting is that both, in this case right now, both Mercury and Jupiter are in signs that they typically, stereotypically, traditionally don't do well in. They're not resourced well. So Mercury is not resourced well in Pisces because it tends to like to be either in Virgo or Gemini. It's more conducive to its nature. And then Jupiter tends to like to be in Sagittarius or Pisces. Gemini is feels very contrary to Jupiter's nature. And so, what this means is that both of these planets, their sign means that they are having to express themselves in a way that's a little bit atypical, that's different than tradition, that's different than the norm, that's different than what our social expectation is. And so for Mercury, this means instead of focusing on the details, it means like really kind of like flowing through the details in a Pisces kind of way. It's like looking at this and then looking at this and like kind of having um, a softer focus. With Jupiter, in Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini, there is this ability to not just look at the big picture, but to also look at more of the small details. And so, what's also interesting is both of these planets are in each other's signs. So, this is called mutual reception in astrology. They are mutually receiving each other, they're mutually hosting each other. So, Mercury rules Gemini, Jupiter's in Gemini, and Mercury is in Pisces, Jupiter rules Pisces. So this is really a fancy way of saying that these two planets are even more connected and they are able to support one another and to work together. And there's kind of this like back and forth that there's kind of this like back and forth synthesis with them. So this may look like thinking and brainstorming and communicating or divining in ways that are atypical, that are really holding space for the big picture, the philosophical, as well as the more minutia day-to-day kind of details. And so I think some questions around this are contemplating how you're being guided to communicate, what's on your mind. And I think also too, like there's this theme around curiosity with this aspect. So I would wonder, what are you learning this week when you loosen your grip on already knowing? I think that like loosening the grip on having to have all the answers or to know something is going to help us um, have an easier time with this energy, because it is a softer sort of hold, so to speak, with all of the mutable energy. Now, um, and of course, always love to hear how this is sitting with you. And yeah, always I wonder like what your experience is already as you're watching this, as I'm describing this. So also with Mercury in Pisces, Mercury will make a more easeful, harmonious trine with Mars in Cancer. And so, like, also, side note, Mars in Cancer is stationing direct this week. So, we're going to talk more about that in a moment, but we want to, like, just note that Mars is very highlighted this week. It's very present. So, this may look like, I really like this aspect because there's kind of this theme around your words, Mercury, being energized, Mars. Your words have power, your words have enthusiasm, your communication has oomph to it. There's this like passion, enthusiasm, there's a dose of energy that is connecting in with your communication or your words or your thoughts. Maybe even your business as well, if you are in business for yourself or if you do Mercury kind of things for work. So this is really about communicating, thinking, and divining with fierceness, with protectiveness, or like a protective or guardian kind of quality. Could also be, because it's still Mars, and Mars rules over agitation and frustration and anger, whether or not we express it. It could also be communicating or contemplating your agitations or your boundaries. And um, it may look like, because Mercury is the mind and the thought process, it may look like becoming more mentally clear on your actions or more mentally clear on your boundaries. And um, I think this, I want to emphasize that oftentimes this is more of an internal process that um, boundaries, and I'm talking about boundaries because I'm talking about Mars. And so Mars is where we protect or defend or how we take care of ourselves by creating boundaries or guidelines as far as how we're going to interact with ourselves or the world. And so this is boundaries for you. Like, what are your guidelines for what is okay with you and what is not okay with you? Like, what is really, really okay with you, not what you're willing to accept. It's like, no, this is, there's something here maybe around internally getting more clear on, because it is the Mars retrograde, more internally getting more clear on what you, maybe even like what you like and what you don't like. And this doesn't have to necessarily involve other people, it may involve how you treat yourself. Um, okay. So I think there's a lot that's kind of like cooking here, as far as your thought process and what you're thinking about, and maybe possibly becoming more clear on some things. Now, let us talk about the Mars stationing direct. When Mars stations direct, that means that the Mars retrograde is over, it is complete for this time period. So we know, if we've been tracking the astrology, that Mars stationed retrograde on December 6th, way back last year in December. And so it's been retrograde since then. It will station direct this Sunday, February 23rd. And Mars originally stationed direct, or originally stationed retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo. It will station direct this week at 17 degrees of Cancer. So the actually, let me back up for a moment. So Mars is a symbol of our assertiveness, of our ability to confront or to defend or protect or guard or advocate. Um, it's also very connected to our physicality and like our vitality, but at a more muscular kind of level, our physical activity, our movement, and our comfortableness relationship with saying no, saying yes versus no, um, and anger as like a psychological phenomenon, the phenomenon of anger, um, and holding that anger is a healthy response to something that doesn't feel good. Usually, anger is something that is important to experience, um, and Mars in the birth chart shows us typically how we experience and express anger. Um, we can get a better sense of how it moves through us, how we feel it, and how we express it, and where it can get stuck, even, or kind of like distorted sometimes, or even like turned inward. We can understand that a little bit more via the birth chart. And so We have a Mars retrograde about every 2 years or so. So, retrogrades are when the planet appears to be moving backward for a period of time through the zodiac. So, it's kind of like a revisiting, it's an introspective period. It's like, okay, whatever this planet um, symbolizes, there is time and space to look back at how we are doing that function. Um, and to have even, I would say, like a sense of renewal around it, because there's some fresh energy that comes in through contemplating our relationship to something. So in this case, it's Mars. So Mars has been retrograde through the early part of Leo to the last half of Cancer. So um, this is very connected in with how we experience anger via the Leo part, which is the authentic self-expression, being seen, being visible, um, giving and receiving affection and love, giving and receiving attentiveness. And then the Cancer portion, which is about care, home, family, um, nourishment, your needs, your relationship to caretaking. And so Mars is stationing direct at 17 degrees of Cancer this week. And I want to say it's like Mars is very, 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 very slow right now, because it tends to be slow. Any planet is slower when it's retrograde, but when it's stationing, it's like super duper slow. So Mars is going to be at 17 of Cancer until March 8th. So we have like a couple of weeks where it's just like it's very slow here. So this is like um, there's more of an emphasis and more of a focus on Mars. Mars is like at the front burner of the stove right now. And so um, we can also look back at when Mars was at this place most recently to get kind of a flavor and a theme, to get like the feeling tone of it. Um, so Mars was last in this place from about September 20th to October 23rd. So, like late September through to October, uh, Mars was in this place. It was in like 10 degrees to 25 degrees of Cancer. And so, I don't know what was happening for you during that period of time, but it might be helpful to look back and to contemplate, especially because this is a retrograde, what was happening for you. Like we're gonna like think archetypally, we're gonna think symbolically, we're gonna kind of have like this soft holding of what the experiences were, especially around these themes of feeling energized, feeling excited, feeling amped up, in contrast, feeling frustrated or angry or irked. Themes around your confidence, themes around boundaries, either external or internal boundaries, um, experiences of how and when you said yes versus no, um, themes around protection, advocacy, physical activity, and just your body movement, your body physicality in general. So we're revisiting this week, like I would say actually the next couple weeks, but especially this week. There may be themes that you're returning to, and you're revisiting these themes with more wisdom and experience and time now that some time has passed. And so it's also this like really completion of the whole retrograde process that began in December. But I think it's helpful because it is such a long swath of time. You can also look back at that September 20th to about October 23rd. And I want to say too, at that time, September, October, the sun was in Libra. And so we had a Sun Mars square, which is like a little more tense, a little more like emphasizing the agitated, or like where it doesn't have to be agitation, but it's like there's something that that like needs your attention, usually when we have a square. And versus in contrast here, we have the sun in Pisces, which is making a trine to Mars. So there's more. It's interesting. The sun is still an aspect to Mars, which is very connected to our conscious awareness and vitality, and becoming more aware of our experience of Mars and all of its symbolism. But there's a little more ease, there's a little more access to the vitality here and to the consciousness. So those are some things that are happening. I also want to say Mars will be in Cancer in general until April 18th. So we have like a lot of time to just swim around in this Mars and Cancer kind of energy and to let things integrate over the next couple of months, to let things settle and simmer down. Okay, so I'm going to pull some tarot cards for you, but I have 3 reflection questions for you this week. First is, what are you learning? I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. What are you learning when you loosen your expectation to already know? What are you learning when you loosen your expectation to already know? Number 2 is, how is your body saying no to something, anything at this point? And how is your body saying yes? Essentially, what are you saying yes and no to at this point? Okay. So I invite you to get into a place that feels comfortable for you, where you can feel connected to yourself, your own experience. If you like, you can focus on an object in front of you, something that feels soothing, or you can close your eyes. Focus on your body, on your breathing, or on anything that feels soothing to you right now. Imagine yourself contained within a beautiful sphere of light. This light can be any color. It can be clear, or it can be any color that feels good to you right now. And within this place, you may wish to call in the presence of your spiritual guidance team, ancestors, angels, whoever or whatever it is that you have a connection with. Ask that they're here with you to protect you, guide you, and to communicate with you in a way that you can easily understand right now. And then as you're here, bring your focus into your heart, center of your chest. And from this place, maybe a question or a scenario or a wondering arises. Hold that gently in your heart. And you may also wish to pick a number between 1 and 3. That whatever that card is will be special for you. All right, so let's see. So 3 cards. First card is the 4 of Swords. And the image in this deck is a person sitting cross-legged. They have their eyes closed. They have this, like, what we would maybe consider like the stereotypical meditation posture. And then there are four swords, two on either side of them, that are sort of hovering in the background. And a keyword for this card in some systems is rest. So this card is an encouragement to rest, to like maybe physically rest, but also like really mentally rest, like to chill, to relax, to contemplate, to this card to me always feels like thinking about nothing. Um, and it feels sort of like the Hanged Man in that there's an inaction quality to it, but this card feels so much more about rest and inaction to rejuvenate yourself, to um, like that whatever it is that you need to figure out, like the swords being the a symbol of thought and communication, whatever is happening, to chill, to take some time. Like, don't try, I mean, like, of course, you know, you have to try to figure things out. You like, there are things that have to be done in your life, I'm sure, but as much as you can, it's really important for you to take some time to restore yourself, to um, rest or reflect or have these moments of mindfulness or meditation. And when I say mindfulness and meditation, I kind of wish there was a different word that I could use there, because it's not about, it doesn't have to be like what it looks like in this image. It's more about, okay, uh, this, I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but it's related. So, um, there's so many different styles and philosophies around meditation and mindfulness. And what I really like is that at the end of the day, many of these systems are about creating more of a sense of space in your experience of your emotions and your thoughts, so that it doesn't feel like your thoughts and your emotions are like all consuming and you're just kind of being like tossed around. Ideally, hopefully, most meditation and mindfulness practices are helping us still experience our feelings, thoughts, emotions, but we feel like we can like have more of a sense of space, like, oh, like I'm feeling this, and like, wow, like I don't really like that feeling, but it's like, it's okay. It's like, it's okay. Um, and so with that, it's not about not having thoughts or not having emotions. It's about kind of like slowing things down and just like giving things a little more breathing room. And there are many ways to do that, not just simply by sitting still like this. So, of course, you know, you might like that. That might feel soothing for you. And this is so connected into Pisces, because Pisces is about altered states of consciousness, altered states of awarenesses. And so, um, whatever works for you to have this experience of rest, of even like downshifting or regulating your nervous system. That may look like listening to soothing music or a guided meditation. It may look like walking in nature. It might look like um, doing some breathing exercises. It may look like doing some really strenuous physical activities. Um, Whatever those things are, it may look like watching your favorite show. Um, whatever those things are, that is really, there's an emphasis around like doing something to connect into this experience of yourself in a way that slows things down. Okay, so second card is the Seven of Cups, and I pulled this reversed. Um, so in some systems, the keywords for this card are illusionary success. And this card is very connected to illusions. It's very bright in here. Okay, there we go. So the image in this card is a person that looks kind of like, they look kind of like, ugh, like, I don't quite, they're not quite distressed. They're kind of like, they feel like unsure to me. Um, and they're sort of like contemplating, but in a way where they're kind of like worried, maybe a little bit. And then there are 7 different cups with different objects in them. And so uh, typically, this card, some of the themes are that there are a lot of options, there are a lot of things happening, and not all options or opportunities are of equal value or satisfaction. And there might be some things that you don't know about the opportunities. Um, so this actually feels very Mercury square Jupiter to me. Like there's a lot that's happening. Maybe you have a lot of, I don't know, maybe are you making a decision about something right now? Maybe you have a lot of decisions or a lot of options to choose from. And um, this card can come up when you need more information. You need more info, and it is also very much encouraging you to do your research, to like um, to not be fooled by something that looks great when maybe it's not so great. um, and we don't know. It's not saying that something's not going to be great, but it's basically saying that there's a lot to take in here. There are a lot of options, and I think too, like because this card, the Seven of Cups, is sometimes correlated to Venus and Scorpio, I think it's about like really this investigating what feels true for you based on your values and like what is like really, really important to you at a deep level, and that may be clarifying for you. Now I did pull this reversed, and so I'm kind of like feeling there's something here around like this. Like, I really feel like more info is a part of the reversedness of it. Like, it's unclear right now that there are still some, I don't know, there's not illusions, but there's kind of like there's still more to know. And I do think it's interesting that it follows the Four of Swords, because it's like Four of Swords is this inaction. The Seven of Cups also feels like it's not like the Chariot card or something where you're just like, yes, moving forward. The Seven of Cups is kind of like mm, thinking into it, feeling into it, contemplating, and doing a little more investigation and a little more feeling into what's right for you. Now, the last card that I pulled is the World. Um, and in this deck, it's very simple. It's a person who's wearing that. It almost looks like some sort of performance outfit, actually. They're wearing like these thigh high socks with like super high burgundy heels and a green mini skirt and then a like a yellow crop top. And they have this very elegant dance pose that they're striking. So the World is about culmination. I pulled this reversed also. The world is a symbol of culmination, completion. Like the tarot starts with the Fool being the open, curious, unknowing, wandering into the unknown, and then it ends with the World, which is having experienced many different things and then coming to a sense of closure and being ready to start again with the Fool at some point. So there is a sense of, yeah, culmination, completion, um mastery, maybe even. And that I pulled this reversed, it's like there might be there might be a wanting or a desiring for a sense of completion around something. There might be um, a need for more experiences in order to complete something that you're working on. And it may also mean that the completion or the ending process is a little bit unknown so far. And I'm kind of feeling that when I look at all of these cards, and that we start with a a reminder to rest. And I'm like, full disclosure, I'm saying this to you as well as to me. Like the rest is, needed. I think for many of us, much more than we do all of the time. So there is this need for rest and for allowing yourself to work out problems by just experiencing what you're experiencing right now without trying to necessarily figure it out. And then there's a lot of options, there's a lot of possibilities, there's a lot of things that you're considering. Okay, like actually, this may be that there's a lot on your mind and that you're like this actually the 7 of cups may be what you're feeling in your head when you're doing the 4 of swords. You might be like thinking this when you're doing this. And there's something about this process that leads you to a sense of culmination, a sense of completion. Um, always, this could be like inner experiences versus outer experiences. So it might not be like completing something at an exterior level, it might be feeling a sense of completion or satiation or a sense of like satisfaction or doneness at a more internal level. There might be maybe even a like a sense of things feeling like they're clicking into place via your rest process, whatever that looks like for you. And I want to emphasize too that like the reversed, often for me, often the reversed simply means that it's like unclear. There's like not we're like not there yet. There's like this journey that you're going through this week to get to this place. And because there's so much future potentials that are unknown, there's so many different variables and factors, um, that don't depend just on you, that depend on other people in the world, etc. That this endpoint is it's not quite determined yet. It's not quite clear. So uh, get some chill time, get some rest, be gentle with yourself. Those are some of the main things. All right, that is your forecast for this week. I am wishing you a wonderful week. Wishing you to connect in with your Mars energy that is most vitalizing and empowering for you at this point in your life. And I'll see you next week. Bye.